Hello and welcome back to Financial Literacy. I'm Chris, and today we will be going through Module 4, using a checking account. For this module, I will be running you through all the basics as well as showing you one of my own personal checks, which I have right here, already filled out. Unfortunately, this lesson is best done in person so that I can hand out fake checks to everybody and walk you through step by step how to fill them out. I'm going to try to accomplish the same thing over camera. When I show it, it shows up backwards, but I think when you're gonna see it on the video, it comes up right. So we're gonna give it the old college try. As you go through, you will learn what happens when you open a checking account. You're gonna receive a debit card as well as a few personal checks. This is actually one of my original checks that the bank gave me when I opened my checking account, which I believe I was 16. I think they gave me like 3, and that's still one of my original ones. Since then, I've actually gone out and purchased more. I believe there's 75 checks in here. I use TD. It doesn't really matter what bank you use. We're also going to learn all the ins and outs of checks, starting with your personal information, your check number, the date, and the importance of not writing a date in the future, as well as pen versus pencil. So starting with your personal information, now, like I said, this is one of the original checks I received when I opened my checking account. Therefore, my personal information isn't actually on there. But usually it would be right in this corner. It'd be my name and my address, and you'll end up learning why that's up there. The check number, which is going to appear right here. As you can see, that's number 1. So this is the first check. As well as the date and the importance of not writing the date in the future. Now, my date is written right there, and the date that I put on there is today, which is October 29th, 2020. And as you can see, I have written this check in pen, okay? That's a very important concept because if I was to write this check out in pencil, okay, say I was giving a $100 check to my buddy and I wrote it out in pencil and I gave it to him, he technically could take a pencil, erase everything I put on there and write whatever he wanted. He could take whatever amount of money he wanted. So that's why it's always safe to write everything that you're doing on a check in pen. We're also going to learn who to write your check out to and how to properly write an amount. Okay, so here I have my check written out, and again, this is an example. Worcester State University, $100. Okay, now the reason why it is so important to label who you're writing your check to, okay, is because if I was to call Worcester State and say, I'm calling about, my tuition bill, how much money, and who would you like me to write this check out to? They could technically, depending on the circumstances, come back and say, don't worry about who you're writing it to. We have a stamp and we'll take care of that when we receive it. Just write the amount and send it to us. Now that's bad, and you don't ever want to do that. You always want to write who you're writing it to, because if I sent that to Worcester State, technically whoever received that could, write their name in and cash that check to their name as opposed to who I'm actually trying to send the check to. So always make sure you're writing who you're sending the check to. Next is obviously the amount. $100, okay? You always want to start on the far left side because that way you're inhibiting the ability to have other people add any digits and make it the wrong amount. Okay, so $100, say for tuition, which I wish $100 was for tuition. And down here, you're then going to see that you have to write out the amount. Okay, so I have 100 and 00 over 100 and a squiggly line. The 00 over 100 is the cents that you're giving. If it was $100.23, that would be 23 over 100. I always do a squiggly line, okay, because that keeps anybody from the ability of adding anything that they wanted to add. Okay. The module is also going to mention, the reason that you're writing it for. As you see, I've put, the reason as tuition, and then you sign it. That's where you sign right down there. These bottom numbers, I believe this left one is your routing number, and this is going to be your account number, which I obviously have crossed out. And the module also briefly mentions something I use quite often, or I used to use quite often, which is mobile deposit. Especially in today, technology is all advanced and everything. Mobile deposit is a way of, you receive a check from somebody or work, you endorse it, and I'll get into that later. You endorse it, and what mobile deposit does is it keeps, it makes it so that you don't have to go to the bank to deposit your check. You can just take a picture of the front as well as the back where you endorsed and send it to them, and they'll deposit it online, which is super handy. It's super efficient, which is why I used it a ton before I had direct deposit. As I stated, it also talks about endorsing checks. I didn't really think that they did a great job explaining it. So, in simple terms, when I endorse a check, I keep it very simple. I sign my name, I write my bank account number, and then I do for deposit only. And that's all you need to do to endorse your check. Obviously, you're not going to write bank account number, you're going to write your actual bank account number. But that's really all you have to do. I didn't really think they explained it as simple as it really is. Lastly, the module will walk you through what happens when you bounce a check, which is, you write a check to somebody when you don't actually have enough money in your bank account to give them that money, as well as the functions of a check register, which, as I was looking in, this pamphlet of extra checks I got, it came with one. And yeah, this is mainly in part used for your own personal use. I don't write enough checks where I really need to use it. But the module will go into very in-depth as to what exactly that's for. So I'll leave that to the module. But at the end of the day, this is very in-depth module on checks. So, pay attention, and I look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Good luck.